Hello, everybody. This is me and Dave with our new podcast called
The Liberty Chronicles.
Attaboy. This is going to be a little podcast about American history for now. We'll see where it goes.
Yep.
Gonna try to go over the presidents this time around, see how it happens. This episode, we're gonna kind of set up a foundation for the whole thing. I think I got everything.
Yeah, I mean, just to clarify, we're gonna try this first one's just gonna be about the Articles of Confederation and then the Constitutional Convention, just
hmm
kind of
hmm
getting the swing of things of American history, and then we're gonna try and do an episode a week or a week or however we're
Exactly.
feeling on each president, and then we're gonna take it from there and see what we got after that. So yeah.
Yeah, I think a good distinction to make is we're not history majors. No, we're not teachers. We're not nothing. We just like to hear ourselves talk.
Yes.
So that's how you guys should take it too.
Yep.
This is not a lesson by any means. So just to kind of set Dave up here. 1776, we all know the date. We declare independence.
hmm
Before that, it was 13 colonies. They were coming in. They were all allied. Not all of them had to go to war if they didn't want to. They all went to war. England for independence. But we declared independence now. Well, it wasn't for independence. You know what I mean. We declared independence. Now we got to have some kind of government. That's where Dave Cook comes in.
Yeah, so this is where we get to talk about the Articles of Confederation, which obviously, as we know, was kind of a big swing and miss for our country. It wasn't the most ideal set of laws that we built the foundation on. And just to get into the creation of it, so right around the time that they started making the Declaration of Independence, they were like, okay, well, if we're gonna sit here and say that we're gonna, separate from Britain, we're gonna need to have our own laws to govern our country.
Yeah.
So that's where they got together. Like I just said, around the same time they were creating the Declaration of Independence, and there was about a delegate at each state, led by John Dickinson, who was the delegate of was it Delaware, I think?
Well, he wrote it.
Yeah, he was like the main man. He's
Yeah.
nicknamed the Pen Man of the Revolution, which is a pretty slick name. But yeah, he was the main man behind it, John Dickinson, and he's an interesting fellow because he's actually a loyalist.
Yeah.
He kind of opposed the Declaration of Independence, but I don't know if he opposed it, but he opposed creating it so early because he thought that the countries weren't at the right, like they still were kind of like separated.
Yeah, they're still
Yeah, he
autonomous.
thought they shouldn't go away from Britain. Honestly, like he was very much so still under the idea that Britain should
Did he
still
did he sign the
the
declaration?
no, he didn't sign it, nor he didn't like sign against it or like sign it. He just kind of like
Oh,
resigned
he didn't.
from his position in
Okay,
government.
I got
So
you.
after this is after the Confederate Articles of Confederation were made, he kind of just like pieced out. Like his,
It was made before the.
I mean, they're sort of around the same time.
Well, okay,
So like, I kind of as soon as that happened, and he was just kind of like, all right,
sure,
well,
sure.
my reputation's kind of in ruins here. So, but yeah, as for the Articles of Confederation, they were created in around 1776, but they actually didn't get ratified until 1781. So it was a good better part about 3 years, 4 years, I'd say. About there was whole lot of layover, and that just goes to show how weak they are to begin with, because it was kind of tough to get the states.
It was it was early, you know.
Yeah, and there was a war, but still,
Yeah, it's not like you had an email here.
yeah, but I mean,
The
4 years,
Constitution took a bit.
yeah, but 4 years is it's insane to think about. I
Sure,
mean, it's
sure.
it's your government, and uh, yeah, I mean, the really interesting part that I found about it was like the last state to do it, which there was obviously reasons behind why they didn't want to ratify it because they
hmm
they had to get all the colonies, all 13
Yeah.
colonies had to ratify it. And most
Are they
interesting,
states now?
I think so at that point, right?
Okay.
I don't know. That's a good question. I'd assume so because colonies was like pre-revolutionary.
Yeah, I don't know when the distinction is made.
Yeah, I'd assume then, but I don't
Okay.
know. But yeah, I was just saying, like when they were colonies, when Britain had them, they were kind of like the borders were kind of just like jumbled mess.
hmm
Honestly, like didn't really have professional. What is the map guy called? Cartographer? Is it what are we talking? What's the map guy called? Is it a cartographer?
Something like that.
I think that's it.
I think you got it.
Yeah, they didn't have anybody over there like that, so they were kind of just like, all right, well, we'll just have the borders, and then if you guys want to extend, you just keep going out west. I mean, how big can America be? How big can this new world be out west? I'm sure there's nothing.
Pretty big.
Yeah, it ended up being pretty big, and that led to some disputes with states like Maryland, who didn't really have much.
Was
And
that the last?
yeah, that was the last one.
Okay.
That they were the ones that were like bitter about the whole thing. So, and then states like Virginia, who ended up like taking over the entire. They had a lot more.
Well,
So
that Maryland didn't sign it until they sorted all that
yeah,
out.
yeah, they were
Yeah,
1781. They were the last state, but yeah, that was just something interesting I found.
sure.
It took them a
Yeah.
while to actually ratify it, but to get into the actual Articles of Confederation, there was only one branch. It was called Congress, but it's pretty much what the judicial branch is sort of today, in a sense, from what I gathered.
Similar in size, but it's definitely
Well, yeah, I mean, but so like what the this branch did, which was just called Congress, it was able to declare war, which I mean, still that really didn't do much because uh
they couldn't finance
yeah, they couldn't
war.
finance it, and the states kind of had their own armies at the
Yeah.
same time too, so they were more focused on themselves because like from what I could see with the Argos Confederation, the biggest thing is that it was kind of like 13 mini countries in one,
Yeah.
and then like when they needed to get together, they'd get together. That's how I think they thought about it.
Hmm.
They were like, okay, well, we really only care about ourselves, but if something big happens, then we'll get together and Bella's coming in. She wants to learn.
What do you guys say about it? Okay. Thank you.
But yeah, so they declared war. They were also really big into foreign diplomacy. Come on, Bella. Yeah, they were the main driving force behind the foreign affairs.
Yeah.
You're just trying to get by. You're not going to be able to get by.
So now, do you know anything about the leaders of they were called presidents at the
Yeah,
time.
obviously it was kind of a touchy subject with
Sure.
the whole king situation. They didn't really want a head of anything. So like I think they kind of had a standing guy.
Yeah,
I
so
don't really know what he did.
so he was the president.
Yeah.
I don't think many people make this distinction, but a president presides over whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
So he was supposed to be the unbiased moderator in debate between the 13 guys. And the first one, I believe, is John Hanson from Delaware, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and he really the only thing you do is 1 year term. You kind of just make sure you bring the issues up to the guys,
Yeah.
make sure everything kind of goes very ceremonial. Not, but
Nothing.
yeah,
Yeah, nothing. You're
and
not in that
that's
involved.
where you could argue that he is the first president, but we're not going to talk about
Nah. I think they like to forget this part of history. So. But yeah, besides that, the Congress couldn't really do much. They can only like, pretty please ask for taxes. They couldn't really
that. Yeah,
force the states to
contributions.
pay. Yeah.
Hmm.
And also another interesting is they were able to set up like a postal service. So like
Oh, I didn't
mail.
know that.
Yeah, that they set it up. So yeah, I guess there was that the mail and all that. That was kind of pretty quick to it, I guess. But
Mhm.
as for the weaknesses, which there's a long list. There's a lot. But like the main weaknesses are, I believe if they wanted to amend the Articles of Confederation, they needed all 13 states to sign.
Sure.
So, that's not going to happen, especially when they're kind of their own mini countries. They
Hmm.
all want their own benefits. It's going to be hard to get all. And I think even to get a new law, it was like 9 out of 13, which is still kind of awful to think about. Another thing is like when it comes to like, I don't even know what it'd be like. You know what I'm talking about? Like the court cases like that go to the Supreme Court now.
Yeah.
They were all like state issues.
Oh, yeah.
So like obviously, I mean, there was no like,
Sure.
there was no national. So like, there's laws probably in some states that
Oh, yeah.
probably
No,
wouldn't matter much in
it
other ones. So
varied heavily.
yeah. I had a quote. Yeah, this is the quote from
Give
Washington.
it to me.
Yeah, I know. I love this quote. So this is George Washington talking about it. He called it it's the Articles of Confederation. It's a many-headed monster that never will nor can steer to the same point.
What
I,
makes man?
yeah, no, I mean he hit it right in the money there. That has to do with the whole Valley Forge situation,
Hmm.
but that's definitely for another day. Maybe his presidency.
Oh, yeah. We'll get.
Yeah, maybe that could be next episode. Who knows?
Oh,
Yeah, but also one last weakness that I found kind of glaring was they couldn't regulate commerce, which again is kind of self-explanatory
hmm.
because now they don't really have much to say what the states can do and can't do.
Yeah.
So yeah, once again, like George Washington said, and everybody, it's a whole lot of benefiting for yourself more
Sure.
than as a group, a union. So yeah, that's kind of the main driving point I've gotten from it. But it all came to a spiral with Shays' Rebellion. Yes, I know, and I'm sure many people know that from their history classes, but we can
Give
go
me
a
some
little deep
facts
into
about
it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, so it
shit like that.
was this was a revolt that happened in Boston, and it happened to do with farmers. They were kind of really deep in debt,
Yeah,
and
from the war.
yeah, from the war. So is the state. The state's in debt. So Boston itself is having their own state tax because
Yeah.
they need to get out of debt. So these farmers are really in the hole, kind of. So the only way they can get out of the hole is by either going to prison or
Uh-oh.
yeah, or they take their land. What does she find?
I don't know.
All right, well,
Anyways,
dude,
anyways,
these people are gonna be watching Bella more than us, and I stand on the
it's
guys.
fine. Free clicks right there.
Yeah.
Love a dog.
Anyways, but yeah, so they took their land and they're put them in jail and things like that, which
Mhm.
obviously upset the farmers, and the farmers also felt like they weren't getting represented as well enough because it was more like like I don't know, I don't want to say bankers, but like more high end,
Yeah.
not farmers, not patriots. These
Mhm.
these guys all fought in the war,
For
so
representation.
yeah, exactly. So they ended up revolting. They ended up they ended up going. I forget where they marched to in Massachusetts. I want to say it was called like Springfield or something.
Yeah. Keep going.
But they were going for guns and other things, and they ended up. I think there was only about two casualties. There she goes. She's got it. There's only about two casualties, and um,
So cute, dude. Sorry. Keep going.
yeah, I think what stopped it was like as soon as they saw like the state militia come in, they're like, all right, well maybe we should stop this. But and then
Right.
it did send shockwaves throughout the country and kind of put everyone on notice. And they're like, all right, well they're gonna have more revolts than just this. This is just one in one state.
Sure.
So that's when we could probably swing more into the
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now
Constitutional Convention.
I'm gonna disagree with you.
Oh,
You said the Articles was a swing and a miss.
yeah,
I'm not gonna say it was great, but it got us through what it got us through.
it was a learning curve.
It was a learning curve,
Yeah,
but that was better than nothing.
yeah.
Kept us together.
That's true. And like I should have mentioned it before. It was on the fly, and the delegates that wrote it, they
Yeah.
they knew it wasn't perfect. Like they
Mhm.
knew they were on a time crunch.
Yeah, Big J do. There was holes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, that brings us to the Constitutional Convention. And before that little prelude, there was the Annapolis Convention, which was to talk about commerce between the states. And the reason why that is not talked about in history is because nobody showed up. There was like three states that came, something like that. I think there's five total. And that kind of set this, all right, we got to do something because this is not working.
Yeah.
So the Constitutional Convention that held in Philadelphia in May. What year?
You asking me? What's this?
87, I think.
That sounds right.
I think
The
that's right.
Constitutional Convention?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think 87. Don't quote me.
I think you're right.
And what people kind of don't realize is it was not just a big room. Everybody got in, hashed it out over like a day or two, and went home. This was several
Yeah,
months.
it was long.
It was like May to September. So, and people were. It was a revolving door. Only I think like 40 kind of stayed the whole time.
Hmm.
And there was a secrecy thing. Everybody's like, "Hey, we are not telling anybody what's going on in there. Nothing." They boarded the windows.
It's like you're doing jury duty.
Yeah, during the summer in Philadelphia, no
Probably
AC.
probably pretty hot in there.
Boarded
Yeah.
the windows up,
Mm.
so nobody. If you left, nothing, no letters, no nothing about it.
That's jury duty.
So they came in. They were like, "All right, well, let's remend this these articles of confederation." And pretty soon, guys like Hamilton and Madison kind of knew that that was not going to fly.
Yeah.
So they opened it back up. They're like, "All right, let's make something new." Madison had a plan for this. He calls it the Virginia Plan, and this was kind of his setup. And Madison, as a fundamental character, is he was really scared about the majority ruling over the minority.
Hmm.
So a lot of his stipulations were to kind of protect, and in his mind, there's people kind of above the masses that could protect him. So his proposed plan was the Virginia plan was all right, ready?
Yeah.
All right, we're back. Technical difficulties. We're good now.
Yeah.
Um, where was I? What was I talking about? Oh, the Virginia plan with Madison. So he wanted to set it up so that God, Bella. Um, he wanted to set it up so that the lower house, it would have been Congress, The House of Representatives would have been a population thing. So more states that had the bigger states that had people had more seats, and the lower states kind of got screwed. Obviously, that did not go well with a majority of the states.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say a majority, just the smaller ones. And they kind of proposed their own plan called the New Jersey plan, and they were kind of going for the opposite. They said no matter what, each state has the same.
Which is like the Articles of Confederation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, because they were heavily in favor of that.
Hmm.
And so, like states like Delaware, even though they're like you can't even see them on a map, they're getting the same as Virginia, which was, I believe, the largest at the time. That might be wrong. Might have been New York, but who knows? Um. So yeah, they debated over that, and then the Connecticut plan came into effect, and they kind of merged the two. They gave us the lower house being population, which is the House of Representatives, and then they had the Senate, which is the upper house, be two per people, no, like two per state. Sorry, and that kind of started that off. Then the question was, well, how many people do we get per population? And that was something that went all the way to the end. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But then there's another question: do slaves count? I think we all know where this is going.
Yeah.
Give it to me, Dave. I know you know.
Do slaves count?
What's the compromise called?
Three-fifths compromise.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
baby, the three-fifths compromise. Basically, the southern states were like, "Hey, they should count." Northern states was like, "Bull, that's stupid." And so they, ooh, hey, any opinion about the three-fifths compromise? Bye, Bella.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Get it working or you're still
Yeah, we finally got it working.
Yeah, it took a little while.
3 days, 3 different times.
What do you mean? This is the first one.
No, it's literally 3 separate occasions.
Yeah. Anyways,
what?
Um,
Go out.
I lost my train of thought there.
Three-fifths compromise.
Three-fifths compromise. Thank
Yeah.
you. So, three-fifths compromise. Compromise. Three-fifths of the slave population were counted towards population, and in return, because it mattered, population mattered on like taxes. So the federal government, depending on how many people were in, like that's what you vote per state. Go ahead, Bella.
You coming? Come on.
Come on, Bella.
You just missed it. There were 3 deer out here.
She
Come
is looking at you like,
All right. Well, that's fine.
All right. She's staying. She likes the podcast. That's why.
I guess so.
But yeah. So three-fifths of the slaves count. So effectively made a slave worth three-fifths of a person. That kind of put it to bed. The southern states now have a larger population because they're counting. So they kind of owed a little bit more in taxes because it mattered about population. So that kind of put it to bed. And big stipulation, they said we can't talk about the imported slaves for like 20 years.
Yeah. Wait, the South was in favor of counting slaves,
Yeah, they wanted more population.
but it got them more taxes, what you're saying.
Well, yeah, so more population means more people in the house.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously they
Yeah,
control the house
and
more.
so they wanted it, and then, but they were kind of trying to count them as property as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
so there was a big, and the North, a lot of the Northern delegates wanted, they came in, they're like, let's ban slavery, let's get this done.
Yeah.
That fell through. So they're like, all right, well, you can't count them then. That's not fair.
Mhm.
So that was their big stand. But they came to the agreement and they pushed the import a slave to talk back to 1808, which is when Dave's favorite president is in office. We'll get to that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay.
I knew that.
Yep. And um yeah, so those were the two like huge ones that everybody remembers from school. But then there's also, I think, the more important question of all right, so we set up population-based representation. Well, how many people should one represent? Dave, do you know the answer?
No, not even a little
Yeah.
bit. Like
So
yeah, I couldn't even tell you.
obviously there's a lot of big names at this Congress or convention, sorry. One being George Washington. He's like the presider.
Mhm.
And the only time he talked, he's like, I think it should be 30,000 people. Everybody said,
Wow, that's kind of just
yeah. So then there was a committee. There's a bunch of committees that they talk about. So the Grand Committee was kind of towards the end. They were talking about this, and they said it as an amendment that 30,000 for the first census till the first census, and after the census, it should be 40,000, and kind of figure it out as it goes. So now, today, it is about one for every 750,000 people.
how did they did the number just keep progressively going up?
So it progressively went up until 1921. And then they just said, we're keeping it at
70,
435.
435,
Nope, that's a wrong number. 456,
four
I think.
something.
Four something. I think it's 456.
Okay.
Don't quote me on it, though. And yeah, and ever since then, it's been
Yeah. Okay.
in our population. So we are one of the least represented democracies in the world now. So, but if we kept the 30,000 rule, it would be like 6,000 people in
Yeah,
Congress.
that's kind of foolish.
Yeah, so that was another big one. And then they started hashing out the government because obviously there's going to be changes. So then it starts, you kind of went over the House or the legislative. You got that done. Then it came to the executive side. Well, nobody wanted to do anything about that because nobody wanted to come out and be like, this is what you should do. They kind of avoided it. Since Big George was there presiding over the convention, they figured he'd kind of set the tone. And he was unaware of this by the time. He just wanted to retire, and they didn't let him. So they kind of
Thank
skipped
God.
over that. And then if you look at the Constitution, the judiciary branch, that big, they just kind of say, hey, you guys got the laws, Supreme Court, good. So that kind of set in motion. So then the ratification process happened next, and just like the articles, they had to get a bunch of states to ratify, but it wasn't all. I think it was 9, and didn't go well the first time around, even with characters like Hamilton, Madison, and John Jay writing the Federalist Papers in support of it. All the states were like, well, we want a Bill of Rights. He thought that they would be pointless and the government would just overthrow them if they wanted to, anyways. So
Yeah.
that was his view. And like I said before, he really thought that there was going to be kind of like a populist demagogue that would just come around and rake up all the rabble and then take over the world,
Yeah.
the country. So he was very hesitant, but it got set through. Now, how many rights were proposed, Dave? Do you know this?
How many Bill of Rights were removed?
Yeah, like how many amendments on the Bill of Rights were there?
So I'm guessing it's not 10. Is it 12?
Which
Yeah.
it's 12.
I thought it was.
We all know the 10. Let's
Yeah.
see. Let's play a game. Let's see how good you
Don't
are.
even get it. I don't know. I took
We'll
AP
go back
Lit.
and forth.
I'm already
Number
out.
one.
I'm already out.
You got number one, dude. Come
I know the Second Amendment,
on. Okay, I'll go
and I'm
first.
not a redneck. Like,
Number
don't think like that.
number one. Freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of religion. That's number 2.
Right to bear arms.
That'll play. Number 3. You could refuse quarter of soldiers. They can't force themselves in your house. Number 4.
Um, can you give me like a? Can you start it off?
Um, privacy.
Uh, yeah, that's what it is, right? It's just privacy.
Illegal searches.
You need a warrant?
Okay.
That's
Good.
close enough.
Illegal search and
Okay,
seizures.
you gotta keep going so I don't embarrass myself. I
Okay.
got right to bear arms.
Illegal search and
That's
seizures.
good enough.
All right. Number 5, come on.
Is that the one where they have to read you your Miranda rights?
Well, Miranda was not a person yet.
Oh, well, I don't know it then.
Come on. You plead the fifth. What does that mean?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. You don't gotta talk unless you have a
You don't.
lawyer.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't have to. You don't even have to talk with your lawyer.
Yeah,
You don't have to purge yourself.
yeah, that's the word,
Yeah.
purge. Yeah,
And then double jeopardy. You can't be convicted of the same
twice.
crime twice.
Yeah,
Number 6,
don't look at me.
counsel. You got a right to counsel in a speedy trial. 7. Seven's a little. That's a little harder one.
Stop looking at me like I know.
Brother, you should know. It's a Bill of Rights, man.
If my AP Gov teacher is listening, I'm
Yo.
sorry, bro. I'm
She didn't do a
sorry.
good job, I guess, with
Mm,
you.
She or he, we don't. We're not gonna.
He 7 was got a right to a jury in civil cases. 8.
I stopped looking at.
Really,
I said it
you don't know
every Bill of Rights now so far. I said stop looking at
you
me.
don't
Just
know any of them,
no,
dude.
I
What?
don't.
Your credibility on this podcast is crazy right now.
Well, maybe if we would have said, "Yo, we're gonna discuss the Bill of Rights," I'd been like,
I put
"All
him in
right,
the dock.
let me." I wasn't looking at that. I'm
Oh.
not gonna lie. I
All
didn't
right,
even
number 8 is
refresh myself on
cruel
this.
and unusual punishment. They protect you from that, and excessive bails. Then number 9 kind of says that just because it's not written down doesn't mean we don't have it. It's kind of a blanket one that doesn't really mean much. And then 10, which is we'll probably get to in later podcasts. Um, what is 10? I blanked. Oh, 10 is if it's not written down here, it's a state's problem. They have the authority.
Okay.
Okay, so that's 10. And then the other two that didn't get passed was one was the representation type of thing. They wanted to put it in an amendment,
Hmm.
the 30,000, and then after the first sentence, it's 40,000. That just never got through. And then the other one, it just got passed in like the 90s, the 1990s. Um, it was about compensation for senators and legislature, and they basically said that you can't talk about our salaries until the election happens and like new guys come in.
Yeah.
But that wasn't passed, so nobody cares about those. But after the articles, they came in, or the articles, the I'm you now.
Yeah. Anyways.
The Bill of Rights, all the states, I shouldn't say all, most of the states passed it. Can you guess the two?
That didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't pass the Bill of Rights or the
Well, the
Constitution.
Constitution, the Bill of Rights was kind of like they promised to add it later
Okay, it's two that didn't pass the Constitution.
because it's a bill.
What's my hint here? Like, why wouldn't they have? Like, what?
Um,
Like, I don't know if it's because they're like smaller states and they feel like they're not gonna get
well,
represented.
there's one small state and one
Mm.
kind of state, one south, one north.
So, wow, that's kind of stupid. I'd say Delaware. They seem to always have problems.
They were the first state to ratify.
Oh, yeah, what am I saying? That is such a stupid guess.
Yeah,
Oh my God. They're literally the first one. Okay, is it Maryland then?
smaller.
Rhode Island.
Yep. Rhode Island and North Carolina. They were the only two that didn't ratify it outright. But they got it through. And then the Bill of Rights was very much a bill. It passed through Congress.
Mhm.
And then they got signed when Bush was president. But that's for the next episode.
Keep them on the edge of their seats.
Yeah, so spoilers. We never did this before.
Really?
No script. I'm sure the sound quality is not gonna be the best.
Oh no.
There was already technical difficulties. We had Bella. We had Dave Cook Sr. We'll get him on an episode, don't worry.
He's not senior. He's technically junior. It's on the third.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Apologies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so bear with us. We'll get it down.
Yeah.
We
No,
ramble.
we really wanted to do this, so we kind of just like went in kind of raw, wanted to get it
Mhm.
done. So we were
Yeah, we
excited.
just like talking. So
Yeah.
bear with us. I'm sure we'll get better.
Definitely, without a doubt.
Not a lot of ums.
I didn't even notice any. I'm being honest.
I noticed a lot from me. So, but thanks for watching, guys.
And listening, and or
Yeah,
listening.
thank you for watching. Marlene, Madison, Rory, and Dave Troutman. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's
What's
probably the only 4 guys that are gonna watch it.
This sounds like guys and girls, not just guys.
Okay, whatever. But yeah, next episode, Big George.
Yeah, I'm excited. I know you guys are. We'll try to get it out as soon as possible. And follow us on what do we have now?
YouTube, Instagram, Liberty Chronicles everywhere.
Should I make a TikTok?
You should make a TikTok.
I'll make a TikTok.
We'll be on Spotify too. That's not.
Yeah, I gotta figure out how to do that too. We're not even like these guys just want to leave. All right, let's wrap this up here. Until next time.
Yeah, next time, outro plays.
Yeah,
Go.
see you go. Ba-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.